Welcome guys to episode number 5 of the Gorilla Report. My name is Ollie Harper and we are back for another instalment of the newest professional wrestling talk show, which is making waves here on YouTube.com this summer. And today we managed to get hold of another former WWE superstar who's going to be on the show a little bit later on. I know you guys are enjoying these interviews and I'm really enjoying putting them together and going out of my way to try and get these guys to come on the show. We managed to get hold of a former WWE World Tag Team Champion. This man was once a part of the heel tag team La Resistance, and he's going to be on the show a little bit later on over Skype. First time on webcam, René Duprée. He's going to be on the show a little bit later on, so that's going to be something to look forward to. And but before we go any further, we've got some plugs, so go and check these guys out. Now, Aggressive Art, what these guys do, they specialise in everything to do with professional wrestling, boxing, mixed martial arts, and they do anything for posters, logos or promotional banners, whatever you guys need. So if you go over to their Twitter page, @AggressiveArt, and you tweet them what you want, I'm sure these guys will definitely rustle up something tremendous for you. Or you can go over to their Facebook page, Aggressive Art. Check them out, worth it. And like I say, also another big plug that I want to give is to, drum roll right there, the Gorilla Report Facebook page. That is right, the Gorilla Report is now on Facebook, and we are trying to get the likes in. If you go over to there and give us a like, it's always appreciated. And what you will find on that Facebook page is any news on future guests, future shows. It's all going to be on there. So the Gorilla Report on Facebook.com. Check us out. We are rocking and rolling on Facebook. And of course, we've also got the Twitter page @Gorilla_Report. And you also know my Twitter page by now, @TNSAttitude. Been rocking and rolling that for the last, 3 years or something? I don't know, I've been on Twitter ages. But yes, that is our little introduction to the show. And coming up, track of the day. We'll be back in just a little bit. Track of the day this week, well, I thought to myself, well, since we've got René Duprée on the show, I thought we would go back to 2003 and give you guys a little bit of the La Resistance theme music. So here it is for you guys, La Resistance. Alright guys, so the Monday Night Raw thoughts for this week. I thought Raw on a whole was a fairly solid show. Of course it was definitely Raw is Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan ran the gauntlet for this week's episode. He had 3 matches back to back. He worked against Jack Swagger, he worked against Antonio Cesaro, and he worked against Ryback. And oh my god, I just cannot get over how good the Antonio Cesaro-Daniel Bryan match was. These two just showed that they are the future of the WWE. They absolutely tore the house down. Just everything about this match was just 5 stars, perhaps one of my favourite Monday Night Raw matches of this year. I really hope that this match makes the DVD for next year, because it was absolutely tremendous. I can't believe what these guys did. It was as though the guys behind the scenes just said, guys, go out there, have a fantastic match, and just put it all out there. And that's what they did. And they absolutely, just brilliant. I mean, all the uppercuts, the European uppercuts that Cesaro was giving to Bryan, and then there was just counter after counter. It was just great wrestling. And it's great because for the last several weeks, Monday Night Raw has been having it where there's been that one match on the show that has just stole it, and it's really just stood out. Bryan's been doing it for weeks on end. I mean, he had a great match with Seth Rollins the night after Payback. What was it? The night after or the week before? I forget. But that was tremendous. And then, of course, RVD and Chris Jericho had an amazing match a few weeks back. So, like I say, Raw has got some of the best names on the roster. You know, of course, there's none of that brand extension anymore, but Raw is really showcasing the future guys and that future talent. It's really nice to see. So, you know what, I really hope, and to be honest, I really do hope that Antonio Cesaro gets picked up more. You know, hopefully they put him up more on the main event, to be honest, because the guy is an absolutely amazing worker, and I just hope that they give him that opportunity to be up on the main event scene, because he definitely does deserve it. Other things to mention from this week's show, there was a couple of other matches, but there was the Totally Divas thing that, of course, was on Miz TV, because they did a Miz TV segment, and I forget her name. She's a dark redhead. I believe it's Eva Marie, if that's the name, but she slaps Jerry Lawler to show that she's this biatch, or this bitch, as you could say. And what else happened? Oh yeah, one of the Bella Twins' tit fell out, which was just chilling there, wasn't it? Did you see the cameraman? The cameraman went on and it was just chilling. It was like, which was quite funny, but it was all on the later on that the WWE have now decided to make the girls wear tape around those areas, because within the last couple of months, wardrobe malfunctions have been quite a regular occurrence on Monday Night Raw. So that's why it's Raw, isn't it? But yeah, like I say, and then another thing that I found quite funny about Monday Night Raw this week was the whole the fact that the crowd was so into the Cesaro-Bryan match that when Ryback came out, the crowd just went dead, and they started chanting "You can't wrestle" to Ryback, which I thought was quite funny, because, you know, Cesaro and Daniel Bryan had just had this amazing match, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, Ryback's just going to come out and just totally kill it, because the crowd was absolutely dead by this point. They just had this amazing match. It was like, pretty much. But yeah, like I say, Raw on a whole was fairly solid. That's all I'm going to say for today, guys. But coming up, Twitter interaction. We'll be back in just a little bit. Alright guys, so we are now going to do Twitter interaction. You know the score by now. I put a tweet out earlier in the week, of course hashtagging it, The Gorilla Report. And you guys, send me some tweets and we get this little discussion rolling in this part of the show. Now, the tweet that I put out this week was to do with Impact Wrestling and the amount of cuts they've been doing in recent weeks. I said on Twitter, with Impact Wrestling cutting many talents, what are your thoughts, guys? You know, I want to hear what you guys had to say. Hashtag The Gorilla Report. And we had a couple in. I'm going to read a few now. One in from @DudetteMCK. And you put, TNA has made some good cuts and some bad ones. They need to rethink the roster. Well, like I say, there's been some cuts, you know. For me, like, obviously, they were cutting the likes of a lot of these gut check people that got cut. I mean, like, Taylor Hendricks got cut, Joey Ryan, Sam Shaw, and it just makes you think, you know, what was the point of bringing these people in the first place when they were only going to get cut a few, you know, about a year after. It's just ridiculous. But thank you very much for your tweet. And we've got one in from @JoeScott EPW, and you put, they are cutting so many guys because they have too many on the main roster, and that's going to cost more money. Well, yes, absolutely, and not just that, but of course, with them going on the road, as much as the Impact Wrestlings look more glamorous, the fact that they're in these biggest, you know, they're in these sort of bigger arenas, it's more like, it feels a lot more like a wrestling show than it being just enclosed in Universal Studios in front of holidaymakers. Of course, it's going to prove that it's going to be quite expensive going on the road, and when you've got these big ass contracts for people like Quinton Rampage Jackson, Hulk Hogan, you know, and these guys' contracts are going to prove expensive. They've got to, you know, put cutbacks in where needs be. That's why people like Doc, D'Lo Brown, they get cut. Who else got cut? Bruce Pritchard got fired. You know, and of course, it's hopefully just going to give opportunities to, you know, people hopefully like me. Greg Marichulo, aka Trent Beretta, he's been brought in. I don't know how long he's in for, but he's here for now, and hopefully he'll stay around because he proved the other week that he did a hell of a job in the ring in that X Division match. But thank you very much for your tweet. But yes, if you guys want to be a part of Twitter interaction, all you got to do, follow me @TNSAttitude on Twitter, or you can follow @gorilla_report on Twitter, and it might happen. It could happen any time in the week, random time of the week. I will put a tweet out, and if it's hashtag the Gorilla Report with a certain question relating to something going on in professional wrestling, that's your opportunity to have your tweet read out on the Gorilla Report episodes. That's how we do it. That's how we're going to rock and roll. But that is that. Coming up next, well, we're going to have a little special look at next week's guest, because this gentleman has been making waves all over the independents, and we've got a special video package for you guys coming up next.
The secret side of me, I never let you see. I keep it caged, but I can't control it. So stay away from me, the beast is ugly. I feel the rage and I just can't hold it. It's scratching on the walls, in the closet, in the halls. It comes awake and I can't control it. Hiding under the bed, in my body, in my head. Why won't somebody come and save me from this? Make it end. It's just beneath the skin. I must confess that I feel like a monster. I hate what I've become. The nightmare's just begun. I must confess that I feel like a monster. I feel like a monster. I feel like a monster. My secret side I keep hid under lock and key. I keep it caged, but I can't control it. 'Cause if I let him out,
Okay guys, we are back on the Gorilla Report, and ladies and gentlemen, we are joined. This is perhaps, I feel, the biggest guest we've had on the Gorilla Report as far. This gentleman is a former WWE superstar. He has worked all over the world. He has worked in Japan, he has worked in Europe, he has worked in America. This man became a professional wrestler at a very young age, and I'm very honoured to have this man on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, talking to me right now, René Duprée. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great, man.
Good stuff, good stuff. It is, like I say, very, very humbled to get you on the show. Like I say, thanks a lot. Now, of course, like any start of any interview, we have to, with a professional wrestler, we talk about the your early days. Now, growing up, how was growing up for you?
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, since I grew up in a wrestling promotion, my father being a wrestler and a promoter, so I always had wrestlers hanging out in my house, and wrestling was life, and it still is. It's always been life for me.
Yeah. That is cool. That is cool. Now, of course, your father, promoter, and Emile Duprée. Well, Gun, yeah, very well known. I remember Joe was talking about him the other week. Very well respected in the industry. So, of course, with your father's influence, of course, you were. Was it very much? What age were you when you were like, yes, this is what I want to do for a career?
3, 4.
Wow.
I knew what I wanted to do. There's no question in my mind what I wanted to do. So, but it was age 13 where I got on the road and traveled with the wrestling, and set up rings and sell merchandise, and that's watching the matches every night and being around the wrestlers and learning the insides of the business.
Yeah, of course, and that's a really humble thing. So, of course, like I said, we've just touched on your first discovery of professional wrestling. Let's move on a little bit now. So, of course, you, young guy, you were 19, am I correct, when you started out in Ohio Valley Wrestling?
18.
Oh, 18, I beg your pardon, 18. And how was the road to Ohio Valley for you?
I mean, it was easy for the most part. I mean, I was a freak of nature. I was 255 pounds of muscle at 17 years old. So when I sent my tapes and promo video to the developmental, I think it was Kevin Kelly at the time was in charge. They never see anything like that. So I got a tryout in Cincinnati. At the time it was HWA.
Yeah.
Developmental system was. And it was a week-long tryout, and I got signed thereafter.
That is wicked. That is wicked. And of course, at the age you were, but you were like, damn, I feel this is pretty humbling to be picked up by a major promotion at such a young age, yeah?
Well, that was my goal. When I was 16, I was sitting in geography class.
Yeah.
And I was mapping out my goals and exactly what I wanted to do. And I said, as soon as I graduate high school, I'm going to make it to, at the time it was WWF.
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to make it to the WWF. And I realized all the goals I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show, if you have a dream, there's nothing that can stand in your way. If you go for it, you can get it.
Damn right. That is that's a message I think to all my viewers. You guys, if you've got something you want to do, go out there and do it. Like René, man, he's like I say, professional wrestler. You've done what you want to do, man, with your life, and that's a cool thing. Now, of course, like I say, going on with OVW. When you were there, were you around the likes of, was Batista and John Cena down there in OVW at the time when you were down there?
They were just finishing up.
Okay.
They had just gotten called up, but I actually worked a few matches with Cena. On his way out of OVW.
Yeah. And of course, down there, Cena had the prototype gimmick. Like, talking on Cena, how was Cena around you in OVW? Was it, like I say, he was pretty much around that same sort of age, wasn't he? Like, youngish guy. How was John Cena with you?
He's about 7 years older than I am.
Oh, wait, beg your pardon.
I'm 29. I'm still young, bro.
Oh, fair dues, man. Fair dues.
He's a guy I always liked, and I could tell just the way he carried himself, and just the way he was,
Yeah.
He was going to be around for a long time. He's going to be very successful. I can't say anything better with that.
Yeah.
I really can't. He deserves the position he's at, and he's a hard worker, and I like the guy.
Yeah. So, like I say, going on from OVW, of course, the whole La Resistance thing. Now, that's where a lot of my casual viewers will know you mostly from. Of course, you teamed up with Sylvain Grenier, Rob Conway. You guys had a very, very, very successful run throughout 2003 into 2004. La Resistance. Talk me through La Resistance. How did it all start, the La Resistance idea?
Well, it was was faith almost. No creative writer really came up with the idea. What happened was 9/11 happened, and America was trying to gather up people to help them out with, go against the Afghanis or the Iraqis or whatever the hell they did. And France decided they didn't want any part of it.
Yeah.
And that's when the whole thing in America, they refused to call French fries, they call them freedom fries, and everybody hated the French.
Yeah.
Like, even more so than they already do. So, that was a big thing, and then there just happened to be two French guys in OVW, myself and Sylvain.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when Iron Sheik and Hulk Hogan or Sergeant Slaughter had their big feud,
Yeah.
Time there was Iran was almost going to go to war with America, so they played it out on WWE television.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The same deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was great timing. It was good for business, actually.
Yeah, I mean, from what I remember, you worked with a lot of the cats on the Raw roster. I mean, you had time. You worked around the likes of Mick Foley. You worked with Austin. I mean, how were these guys around you? I mean, these guys. Surely you've seen these guys when you were growing up, and you're in the locker room with these guys. I mean, how was that?
Surreal, really. Think about it, I was so nervous and shy. Think about it. Imagine anybody listening to this or yourself at 19 being in the same dressing room as Steve Austin, The Rock, and all these guys that literally a few years before I was, emulating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was a really surreal experience, and just put yourself in my shoes and try to be, in that position. How would you fare out? Absolutely. I think I did fairly well.
Yeah, man. You like I said, you shone. I mean, your whole personality shone on TV. The whole La Resistance thing. You guys got that whole anti-American thing down to a T. You guys, the natural heels, absolutely fantastic. And of course, one of the first guys you actually worked with was Scott Steiner. Now, big pop of pomp to the fans. Now, Steiner, first night, one of the first guys you worked with, Steiner, how was he?
Great. I like Scotty Steiner.
Yeah?
Yeah. What I liked most about him is when he was one of the first guys to get his own bus,
Yeah.
And when I see him, he'd bring his wife and his newborn baby, and he would just keep to himself. I was like, you know what, that's kind of like the way I like it. If I ever had a family, because they say it's a singles man sport, but I'm married now, and I don't believe in that. I believe that you can have a family and still do this. It's a little harder, but if I were to ever go back, that's what I'd want to do. I want to have my own bus and bring my family with me.
Yeah. That is definitely something, of course. I mean, Steiner had just come out of it was only, like a year? Not even that, it was a couple of months. Obviously, he'd been in WCW 2 years prior to this, and then, of course, working in the WWE, and it's nice to think he can bring his family along for the ride, so that's very
that shows a lot about the guy's character.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but of course, La Resistance. I mean, you guys, the people you work with the Dudley Boys. I mean, of course, another great tag team, and of course, at SummerSlam 2003, you guys won the belts, and just want to talk us through that that experience when you guys, you walk in and you say, oh yeah, you're going to be winning the belts.
I think it was at Bad Blood 2003.
Oh, I beg your pardon, Bad Blood.
You're correct.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was in Houston, Texas. It was cool. I didn't realize at the time, but I became the youngest guy to ever hold a championship title, in the history of WWE. So that I didn't realize at the time, because you're going a million miles an hour, and they're gonna give you a belt. Wow, but to get a belt basically is to help you get over on television. That's what a title is for.
Yeah.
So then you realize, okay, but I guess in the history books of the world of professional wrestling, I kind of made history.
Yeah, definitely. So with La Resistance, when you got Rob Conway into the mix, where was that idea? Who kind of influenced that idea to bring a third man into the group?
I had no idea. It was probably something with the writers and
Okay.
whoever backstage. Yeah.
Of course, and touching on, of course, SummerSlam, that's where he would make his on-screen debut and come and help you guys out to when you
I remember watching that. It was well done the way they did it.
Yeah, it was very well done. But of course, other things to talk about, of course, with your time in WWE. Of course, you had a major injury around the end of that year. To talk us through that, you had an injury, of course, which broke up that you had such a lot of momentum, and then it kind of was stopped because, of course, you were taken off TV, and it was just Sylvan and Rob. Talk us through that injury and how you kind of got back through it.
Well, I had an abdominal hernia.
Yeah.
And, it didn't bother me like in the ring or whatever, but it looked bad, because it would stick out really a lot. I remember Vince looking at me backstage in Nashville, kind of giving me this dirty look, and then he told the trainer, go check out René, and it was a hernia, so they made me get an operation, which kept me off the road for about 8 months.
God damn, that's and then of course when you came back, it was very much the whole La Resistance thing. Rob and Sylvan were pretty much rocking and rolling it as the two, and it was only a few months when you rejoined that you was very short, and then of course you got moved to SmackDown during the the draft lottery of that year. And of course,
no, you got the times mixed up.
Oh.
Bro. I got moved to SmackDown. I did a run with Cena, and then after that run with Cena was up, I kind of changed my look. I dyed my hair black and I grew a mustache.
Oh wait, hold on. But no, when you moved, of course you moved. They're saying you moved to SmackDown in 2004, the first time around, and then of course you moved back to Raw a little bit later on, back in 2005.
Yeah.
That was,
and then I got the surgery.
Yes.
The hernia surgery.
Yes.
Yeah. And then that's when I came back. They made the ECW.
Yeah. Now of course.
Yeah.
Now the whole ECW thing, a lot of people, this new ECW, a lot of people a lot of the old school ECW fans really did not like the rebirth of it. Very much felt that it was very much it shouldn't have been what it was. I think a lot of people were really wanting it to be something completely different to what was put out there.
Well, what they had to do to make that work was to not tape it in the same arenas as they were taping the big arenas. Because ECW, what made ECW was the crowd interaction in the smaller venues. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what made ECW, was the fans.
Yeah.
So if they wanted to make it work, what they had to do is tape the show like at the Hammerstein Ballroom. Like if you watched the One Night Stand pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Those were really good.
Yeah.
And the reason why is they were taped in the same type of venues and atmosphere as the old ECW was.
Yeah.
Because if you watch the shows back and they put that ECW type wrestling, they tried to do the same style in the bigger arenas. It just didn't come across on television the way it used to on the ECW television. You understand?
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah. So they could have made it work, but it would have been an extra. The price to produce a show like WWE production-wise is very, very expensive. And honestly, even if they would have done that production in the same venues and locations that the return wouldn't have. It's a business decision. And Vince is a very smart business guy. He's a genius at it. They wouldn't have made it a profit.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have worked.
Yeah. Were you a fan of the original ECW? Like, were you quite into the old ECW when it was still running?
Certain guys.
Yeah.
I liked watching the Jerry Lynn Rob Van Dam feuds.
Yeah.
And the Sabu stuff because he was different. But then when everybody started copying each other, doing the same shit,
yeah.
You know what I mean? It becomes all the same. Like Sabu was an innovator doing all that stuff, boom, 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 but then everybody copied him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it's all the same stuff. And then it gets too much, and then it gets boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, going back a little bit, talking about, of course, your run as a single competitor on SmackDown in the 2004 time. Talk us through that. I mean, of course, you're still a very young guy. You didn't have Sylvan or Rob with you. You were pretty much going off, doing it on your own now. How was that as a guy going forward, really, with the SmackDown experience in 2004?
It was cool because it's like I'm still very young, but they're gonna give me a single. They wanted me as a single star, and they saw money in me basically,
Yeah.
and they put me with Cena, who obviously they saw money in him as well, and they put us together. And if I would have stuck around, I'm sure I would have had numerous feuds with Cena, and I still can, quite frankly.
Yeah.
If I were to go back tomorrow, I could start a program with Cena. I could do a 20, 30-minute match with Cena on Raw, and it would blow the roof off the place. And I could do that tomorrow, just because me and him clicked in the ring.
Yeah.
Very well. Yeah.
Would you ever want to go back? Like, if point in your career now, would you ever actually want to go back? Would you ever want to like try and see about it?
There's times where I don't. I miss it like like hell. I really want to. And there's other times when I hear people dying and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then I have no interest. But they've cleaned their act up, and I applaud them for that. That's the greatest thing they've ever done. One, it is a business decision to make their company look better. At the same time, it's saving lives, and that I applaud them for.
Yeah.
And, if it's as clean as they said it would, they say it is, and yeah, I'd go back.
Yeah. Definitely, that's cool. I mean, there's a lot of guys going back as like trainers, and they're doing a lot of stuff for the new guys, like with the NXT guys. If they said to you, come back as a trainer, would you say yeah to something like training up the new guys for the future?
Not at 29, bro.
You still want to keep...
I'm still younger than half the roster, for Christ's sake. Half the guys on TV, I'm still younger than them.
Okay.
But I can guarantee you, I could go there and from a physical standpoint look just as good, and from an in-ring standpoint, I could hang with any of those guys and blow the roof off the place.
Of course, I'm guessing you're still quite in touch with the current product. Who out of these new guys coming up, who really stands out to you, and you're like, yeah, that's a guy right there that's going to make some money? Who, when you look at the guys?
I just started watching him more recently, but I like that dude from The Shield.
Oh, Dean Ambrose?
John Mox? Dean Ambrose? Yeah,
yes.
That guy.
Yes.
I like him.
Yeah.
And there's that Samoan. All the Samoans are good.
Of course.
if they're from the Samoan family tree, they're natural good wrestlers, okay? And they can draw money. That one group I really like, I love the theme song, is the Wyatt family.
Yes, Bray Wyatt, of course.
Dude, I got that theme song on my iPod, and I play it at the gym with the car. I love, and the bigger heavy setter guy. Yeah. I worked with the Brody Lee.
Yeah.
What's his name? Yeah, I worked with him in England. He was a little stiff, but a good guy. And the bigger set. I don't know what it is. Bray Wyatt? Is it Bray?
Yeah, he used to be Husky Harris a couple of years back, and then they've totally repackaged him, and they've done a hell of a job.
He's Mike Rotundo's kid, right?
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that guy's got like a charisma to him, and I'm glad they're not going with the physiques with the six pack. I know I look like a model with a six pack abs, but I'm so glad that they're bringing in some hair set guys and guys with beards, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not all. That's the way it's supposed to be. It's the circus. You got to be different. And,
yeah.
Unfortunately, I noticed that one guy grows a beard, and then the whole roster grows a beard. Come on, you got to be different.
Yeah, I'm right. It's all about repackaging yourself to make yourself stand out from the rest. Of course, with progression in your career.
Yeah.
I mean, of course. I mean, touching on that, when you've got like a load of new tattoos now. You've had them. How long have you had the new tattoos? Because a lot of people that know your current work now. Of course, how long have you had? There's quite a few new tattoos you've got. Talk us.
I went a little overboard. No, I'll tell you, they're addicting, man.
Yeah.
Like I just wanted to wear shorter boots, but have my calves tattooed with flames. I thought it would look cool. And then I got that done. And then within 6 weeks, I had like all my tattoos done.
Yeah.
Got a total back piece. I got a half a sleeve on my arms. I got a half a sleeve on my leg. And I got Japan tattooed on my arm and chest. And yeah, I have an addictive personality, and
Yeah.
I like,
It's like
I like pain. I don't know. I just
you like
physical pain.
the adrenaline rush.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
That works. Yeah. Okay. So so moving on, like I say, I was then talking about SmackDown. Of course, a guy that the fans will know you're teaming up with on the SmackDown side of things, Kenzo Suzuki, the Bronze Warrior, as Michael Cole would always say. Kenzo, talk us through this. How you two paired together? How did it all come about?
Well, I know he got a singles run at first and didn't get over as quietly as they wanted to, and they really wanted to showcase him. So I was always viewed as a hell of a hand, a guy that could, you could put me in there with anybody, and I could get a great match out of him.
Yeah.
So I was used, to help him because he came from Japan in a Japanese style, and he's slowly learning the American style. And I'm a quick learner. When I got there, it took me months, and I caught on with the WWE style real quick. So, yeah, they put us together, and actually, it was probably some of the best times I had in WWE with traveling with him and his wife.
Yeah.
It was fun, and that's when I started to really get into Japanese culture, was traveling with them.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you was a part. Am I correct? You was a part of the WWE Japan tour back in like 2004, 2005 time. You was part of that tour, correct?
The first time I went over to Japan, I was 19.
Okay.
It was with and that's growing up. The wrestlers would always come in between tours. Like they'd work for my father, then work for Stu Hart out in Calgary, and in between tours, a lot of them would go to Japan. And they'd come by the house and they'd talk about their tours in Japan. And I always would dream about not only wrestling there, but just visiting the country.
Yeah.
And I ended up living there for close to 3 years. So.
Yeah. And of course, and the Japanese culture, in one word, how could you put it out in one word? The culture.
As far as the wrestling, or
both. I mean, please.
Well, they break in wrestlers the way you're supposed to break in wrestlers, with discipline and respect the business, and that's the way you're supposed to be broken in. Nowadays, and as far as their other culture, I mean, I love it. I married a Japanese woman.
Yeah.
We're trying to have a Japanese baby.
That's cool. That's cool. Now, of course, like I say before, of course, when you left WWE, was it on your terms?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I asked for my release.
You asked for your release. Was it were you just burned out from the whole thing? Were you just wanting to do your own thing for a bit?
I was having personal problems.
Okay.
And the Benoit tragedy happened.
Yeah.
And that was the final nail in the coffin. That's when I decided, you know what, I gotta get it. And I honestly at first I just wanted to take maybe a year or two off and just travel the world, which is what I did.
Yeah.
I never really looked back, to be honest.
Yeah. And this whole Benoit tragedy. I mean, a lot of people have always said, it puts wrestling in such a bad light. What happened? And there's so many different things that people say. Oh, this happened. This happened. This happened. What would you put it? I mean, of course, you was around Chris. What would you say, man? I mean, with that whole thing, what would you put it down to?
The substances he's putting in his body.
Yeah.
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 That concussion theory is, I don't believe it. It's the substances and stress and being married.
Yeah.
No one can push your buttons like the one you love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's that's my theories. Whatever he was putting in his body.
Yeah. Fair enough. So, like I say, okay, when you left the WWE, you did a lot of other things. Of course, you worked down in Europe. Of course, you worked for All Star Wrestling, one of the perhaps one of the best, I feel, UK promotions out there for the guys. They bring a lot of the import guys in to work with the top UK names. How was All Star for you?
I'll never do it again.
Okay. Okay.
I'll say this about All Star. It's a great place for a beginner to go and learn.
Yeah.
You're not going to get rich there. You know what I mean? But it's one of the last kind of like territories that exists. But if you're new in the business and you want to go somewhere like to learn,
Yeah.
that'd be a perfect place to go, because he does run for nowadays loads of shows, you know, especially with his camps and Butlins and all that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
You can get a lot of experience, and that's how you learn this business, is working as many shows as you can. And you know, to be quite honest, especially over here in North America, a lot of guys just work on weekends.
Yeah.
And some of them can't get booked, and some guys only work once or twice a month.
Yeah.
And I was taught that it takes about 1,000 matches before you really start getting it.
Yeah.
And I believe that to be true. Some guys are quicker than others, but for general rule, it takes about 1,000 matches. So you know, if you're working once or twice a month, it's going to take a lifetime to get that kind of experience. You know, so
Of course, yes.
I wish that there were more smaller promotions like Dixon around the world, or even in North America. But unfortunately, people don't know how to run it. You know. And they can't, because financially it'd be a disaster.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm talking like the British guys. Is there anybody like that you've worked with and you say these guys could definitely work rings with the American guys? Guys you've seen in the past who, like guys you've worked with, who would spring to you as names that you could say these guys?
British workers?
Yeah, British workers.
Oh, well, there's all kinds. James Mason was incredible.
Yeah.
Robbie Brookside was another guy who was, you know, I heard he should be, because he's really good. I worked with Mikey Whiplash. I thought he was really good.
Yeah.
Even Dino and Kid Cool, and I mean, all those guys. Even Ollie, was it Ollie?
Ollie Brown, I think Rampage Brown.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
Yeah. He.
I just wish they would. A lot of them would just learn their British style wrestling more instead of copying WWE style just on TV.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When I was doing my travels, I really wanted to learn, you know, hopefully get to work with a guy who could do that British style, you know, and learn from it, you know. But a lot of guys now just copy the Japanese style, or they copy WWE style. That's what they see on television, you know.
Yeah.
And for people like, my advice for guys starting up in England, learn your traditional style of your country's traditional style of wrestling.
Yeah.
Because guess what? If you ever do get a tryout with, say, a WWE or whatever other company, and you do that style, it's going to be different, and you're going to stand out more with your work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's why you got guys like people like Colt Cabana who want to learn the European style. They want to be working that style. It's a very unique style. And it should,
and kudos to that guy, because you know he stands out and he's different.
Yeah.
And he can do, you know, and since you know he generally works on the independents, and a lot of the independent fans are smart marks, as we call them. They're gonna appreciate his work more, and then he can go and sell his T-shirts or whatever the hell, and make himself a living, you know. Yeah.
So talking us through a few things with, like I said, going back a little now, talking a little bit about Japan. Of course, your first time when going into Japan, how was Japan for you as like a worker?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Because, you know, you come from WWE, and, you know, you get to work a 4-minute match, and then you got 5 or 6 agents telling you what you did wrong, and one guy's saying this, the other guy's saying that, and you're worried about Japan. It's like, okay, you got 20 minutes, go out there and wrestle.
Yeah.
Rebel. It's like, this is what wrestling is supposed to be. You know what I mean? You go out there and you're your own artist, you create your own artwork, you don't have someone putting it together for you, and boom, 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 and that's what wrestling, that's what I grew up on, and that's what I love. So, you know, and the country itself, I mean, I love the food.
Yeah.
I love the fact that I don't have to go get a rent-a-car. That I just show up, the bus picks me up, I drive to the town, the hotel's already booked. Boom, boom, boom. If I want to go to the Gold's Gym, it's free. I don't have to worry about paying for a gym membership and all that stuff. So yeah, I loved it. I
That is,
loved it. Absolutely loved it.
that is cool. That is cool. So, like I say, your future now. Talk us through a few of your current things you're doing now for the fans if they want to see what you're doing now. What you know your current projects?
Well, if you want to see the wrestle, then more than likely you'll be seeing me in Japan.
Yeah.
When, I'm not going to say. You just have to go to my website, renedupree.net, or follow me on Facebook, and you can find me and see what I'm doing.
Yes.
But I also started my father's old promotion this summer,
Okay.
Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling. We did a 1-month tour, and we run 7 shows a week. And we did 28 shows in 30 days, and it was very successful and very. It was probably the best crew of guys that I've ever worked with in wrestling in my 15 years.
Yeah.
And the reason being is because a lot of guys are more appreciative now because there's not very many places to go. There's no places you can go to work that many shows in that length of time. So the experience, and they appreciate it, and everybody didn't want it to end and they wanted to come back. So next year I'll be doing it again, but for longer, probably like a 2-month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is cool. That is cool. Of course, another thing to touch on. Of course, you've got your new theme music, Rolling. Am I saying it? Rolling Rock. The guys that do your new theme music.
Reel and Roll by Rollins Cross.
Rollins Cross. There we go. Talk us through the idea of that theme music. Talk me through it. It's good. It's catchy. It's a grower. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, but it's I'm from the Maritimes in Canada, and that's a local maritime band. It was a huge hit over here, and it kind of has like an Irish type feel to it. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of Irish Canadians out here in the Maritimes. You know? So yeah, if you guys can get a chance to download that song, you can see why it's pretty catchy, and that kind of represents my culture. What I grew up with, the music I grew up with, and kind of represents who I really am. You know, because I'm not from France. You know what I mean? I was just a character I was playing on TV. Now that I'm on my own, doing my own thing, I want to bring the real me, the real culture that I represent out to people.
Yeah.
So I'll do it with the music.
Yeah, there you go. But like I say, I think this is I think that about wraps it up. I just want to say a big thank you to René Duprée for coming on the show today. It's like I say, is there any other final plugs that you want to give to the fans?
No, just if you listen to this, I thank the people who supported me, especially my post WWE career, because a lot of fans tend to forget about you when you're not on television anymore. But there's been quite a few that stuck by me, and those ones I really want to thank. And if there's any new fans listening, you know, I'm still alive and kicking, and I still love this business. It's riding 24/7.
Yeah.
And you know, hopefully I'll be in a town near you. Come out and support it, and love to see you.
Awesome. There you go, guys. That is the main man. That is René Duprée. My name is Ollie Harper. You've been watching The Gorilla Report. Till the next time, we'll see you soon, guys. Keep on watching your wrestling.